Chapter 1: The Protagonist's World. The world was a stark contrast to the one that existed before it. Technology had replaced everything. The people were always staring at their screens, and the world was devoid of the wonder and magic that used to exist. The protagonist, Emma, knew that something was missing, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what it was. Emma was a young girl with long, curly hair and a curious mind. She was always searching for something new and exciting to do, but she was often left feeling unfulfilled. She had heard stories from her grandparents about a time when books were the primary source of information and entertainment, and she had always been fascinated by the idea of holding a book in her hands. One day, Emma was walking home from school when she saw a poster hanging on a wall. It was an advertisement for a new device that promised to provide access to all the knowledge in the world. Emma shook her head in disbelief. How could a device replace the magic of a book? She knew that there had to be more to life than just staring at a screen all day. When Emma arrived home, she went straight to her room and sat down at her desk. She opened her laptop and began to search for information about books. She found articles and blogs about the importance of reading and the value of books, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. As Emma sat there, deep in thought, her eyes wandered to the bookshelf in the corner of her room. It was filled with empty notebooks, a few photo albums, and a dusty old Bible that had been passed down through her family for generations. She had never paid much attention to it before, but now she felt drawn to it. Emma walked over to the bookshelf and carefully picked up the Bible. She turned the pages, marveling at the beauty of the language and the stories it contained. She had heard some of the stories before, but reading them in the book made them come alive in a new way. As Emma read, she felt a spark of inspiration. She realized that books held the key to the magic and wonder that she had been searching for. She knew that she had to find a way to see more books and learn more about the world that existed before technology took over. Over the next few days, Emma's mind was consumed with thoughts of books. She couldn't focus on anything else, and she knew that she had to do something to satisfy her curiosity. She searched online for libraries and bookstores in her area, but all she found were a few dusty old bookshops that had been converted into coffee houses or tech stores. Emma was feeling hopeless until one day, she stumbled upon a blog post about a secret library hidden away in a remote location. The post was written by someone who claimed to have seen the library with their own eyes, and it had a picture of a beautiful old building with a sign that read "The Last Library." Emma's heart raced with excitement as she read the post. She knew that this was what she had been searching for. She quickly copied down the directions to the library and decided that she would set out on a journey to find it. The next day, Emma packed a backpack with a few essentials and set out on her journey. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to see the last library with her own eyes. As she walked out of her house and onto the street, she felt a sense of adventure and excitement that she had never felt before. She knew that her life would never be the same again. Chapter 2: The Discovery. Emma's journey to find the last library was long and tiring. She walked for hours through dense forests and across vast fields, stopping only to rest and eat when she had to. Her backpack was heavy, and her feet were sore, but she refused to give up. She had come too far to turn back now. As the sun began to set on the second day of her journey, Emma saw something in the distance. At first, she thought it was a mirage, but as she got closer, she realized that it was the library. The last library was a beautiful old building, with tall, arched windows and a roof made of red tiles. The sign above the entrance was worn and faded, but Emma could still make out the words. She ran towards the entrance, her heart beating fast with excitement. As she pushed open the heavy wooden doors, a musty smell filled her nostrils, and she was greeted by the sight of rows and rows of books. The library was vast, with bookshelves that seemed to stretch up to the ceiling. The floor was made of polished wood, and the walls were lined with old paintings and maps. Emma walked down the aisles, running her fingers over the spines of the books. She felt a sense of awe and wonder as she looked at the titles. She had never seen so many books in one place before. She was lost in thought when she heard a voice behind her. "Can I help you find something?" asked the librarian, an old woman with a kind smile. Emma turned around and smiled back at her. "I'm just looking," she said. "I've never seen so many books in one place before." The librarian nodded. "It's a rare sight these days," she said. "Most people don't care about books anymore. They're too busy with their screens." Emma felt a pang of sadness at the thought. She knew that she was lucky to have found the last library, but she also knew that there were probably very few libraries left in the world. As she continued to explore the library, Emma found herself drawn to a section on history. She pulled out a thick volume titled The World Before Technology and sat down at a nearby table to read. For hours, she pored over the pages, her eyes scanning the words and her mind racing with new information. She read about a world where people communicated face to face, where books were the primary source of knowledge, and where the natural world was revered and respected. As she read, Emma realized that the world she lived in was a pale shadow of the one that existed before technology took over. She felt a sense of loss and sadness at what had been lost, but she also felt a sense of hope. She knew that there were still people out there who cared about books and who wanted to preserve the knowledge of the past. As the sun began to rise on the third day of her journey, Emma knew that it was time to leave the last library. She had seen what she had come to see, and she had learned more than she had ever thought possible. She said goodbye to the librarian and walked out of the library, feeling grateful for the experience. As she walked back home, Emma knew that her life had been forever changed by her discovery. She had found a new passion for books, and she knew that she would do everything in her power to preserve the knowledge of the past. She felt a sense of purpose that she had never felt before, and she knew that her journey to the last library was just the beginning. Chapter 3: The Journey Begins. As Emma walked back to her small town, she couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. She knew that she had to share what she had learned with others. She had to let people know that there was still knowledge to be found in books, and that they shouldn't be discarded for technology. With this newfound passion burning within her, Emma set out on a journey to spread the word. She started by talking to her friends and family, showing them the books she had brought back from the last library and sharing the stories she had read. Most people listened politely, but few seemed to share her enthusiasm. They were too caught up in their own lives, too busy with their screens and social media to care about the past. Emma felt frustrated but determined. She knew that she couldn't give up. She had to find a way to reach more people, to show them the value of books and the importance of preserving knowledge. One day, while she was browsing through a bookstore, Emma overheard a conversation between two people. They were discussing the disappearance of a rare book, one that contained important information about the history of their town. Emma couldn't believe her ears. She knew that she had to do something to help. She approached the two people and offered her assistance. They were skeptical at first, but Emma's passion for books and her knowledge of history soon won them over. They told her that the book had been stolen from the local museum, and that they suspected it was in the possession of a group of thieves who were known to sell stolen artifacts on the black market. Emma knew that this was her chance to make a difference. She offered to help find the book and return it to the museum, and the two people agreed. Emma spent the next few weeks investigating the theft. She interviewed people, searched online, and followed leads. She discovered that the thieves were a group of tech-savvy individuals who had no interest in books or history. They saw the book as nothing more than an object to be sold for a profit. Emma knew that she had to act fast. She couldn't let the book be sold to the highest bidder and lost forever. She formulated a plan to get the book back and restore it to its rightful place in the museum. With the help of the two people who had first approached her, Emma broke into the warehouse where the thieves were keeping the stolen artifacts. It was a risky move, but she knew that it was worth it. As they searched the warehouse, Emma and her accomplices finally found the book. It was hidden away in a box, covered in dust and cobwebs. Emma held the book in her hands, feeling a sense of awe and wonder. She knew that this was what she had been searching for, the reason she had gone on this journey in the first place. With the book in her backpack, Emma and her accomplices made their way out of the warehouse. They had done it. They had found the book and returned it to the museum where it belonged. As Emma walked back to her small town, she knew that she had made a difference. She had shown people that books were valuable, that they contained knowledge and history that couldn't be found anywhere else. And with this newfound sense of purpose, Emma knew that her journey was far from over. She had only just begun to spread the word about the importance of books, and she was determined to continue on her path, no matter where it led her. Chapter 4: The First Obstacle. As Emma walked down the familiar streets of her small town, she couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. She had successfully retrieved the stolen book and returned it to its rightful place in the museum. Her passion for books and history had led her to do something truly meaningful, and she was proud of herself for it. But her moment of triumph was short-lived. As she walked past the local library, she noticed something odd. The doors were locked, and there was a sign that read "Closed for renovations" hung on the front door. Emma's heart sank. The library had always been a place of comfort and inspiration for her. She had spent countless hours there, poring over books and soaking up knowledge. She knew that the library was a valuable resource for her community, and the thought of it being closed for any length of time was disheartening. She walked around to the back of the building to see if there was any activity. To her surprise, she saw a group of construction workers tearing down the back wall of the library. They were using sledgehammers and bulldozers to demolish the building. Emma was shocked. She knew that the library was old and in need of repairs, but she never imagined that they would completely tear it down. She approached one of the workers and asked what was going on. "We're tearing down the old library and building a new one in its place," the worker replied. Emma felt a pang of sadness. She knew that progress was important, but she couldn't help feeling like something important was being lost. She walked away from the demolition site, feeling lost and unsure of what to do next. She had always relied on the library for inspiration and knowledge, and now it was gone. But Emma wasn't one to give up easily. She knew that she had to find a way to continue her journey, even without the library. She thought back to her conversation with the two people who had approached her about the stolen book. They had mentioned that there was a group of historians and book lovers in a nearby city who met regularly to discuss history and literature. Emma felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this group could provide the support and inspiration she needed to continue her journey. She immediately set out to find the group. It was a long journey, but she eventually found their meeting place. The group welcomed her with open arms, eager to hear about her journey and share their own experiences. Emma was thrilled to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who shared her passion for books and history. She spent hours listening to their stories, absorbing their knowledge, and sharing her own discoveries. But her moment of peace was short-lived. As she left the meeting, she noticed a group of people protesting outside the building. They were holding signs that read "Technology is the future and books are a thing of the past." Emma felt a sense of anger rise within her. She couldn't believe that people were so quick to dismiss the value of books and history. She approached one of the protesters and tried to explain the importance of books and preserving knowledge. But the protester wasn't interested. "Books are a thing of the past," they said. "Technology is the future. You're wasting your time trying to save something that's already obsolete." Emma felt frustrated and angry. She knew that books were important, but it seemed like no one else shared her passion. She didn't know what to do next. As she walked back to her hotel room, she saw a newspaper article that caught her eye. It was about a technology company that was planning to build a massive data center on the outskirts of her town. Emma felt a sense of dread. She knew that technology was important, but she couldn't help but feel like it was slowly pushing books and history to the wayside. She couldn't let that happen. She decided to investigate further, and spent the next few days researching the technology company and their plans. What she found was alarming. The company had a reputation for bulldozing over historical sites and disregarding the importance of preserving the past. Emma knew that she had to take action. She contacted the group of historians and book lovers that she had met in the nearby city, and they immediately offered their support. Together, they organized a protest to try to stop the construction of the data center. The day of the protest arrived, and Emma and her group of supporters gathered outside the site of the planned data center. They held signs that read "Save our history" and "Books matter too." The protests were met with resistance from the workers and the supporters of the technology company. Tensions rose as the two groups faced off against each other, each determined to win. Emma knew that the situation was getting out of hand, and she didn't want anyone to get hurt. She decided to take matters into her own hands and try to reason with the CEO of the technology company. She managed to secure a meeting with the CEO, and she made her case passionately and convincingly. She explained the importance of preserving history and the value of books in shaping our understanding of the world. To her surprise, the CEO listened. He was moved by Emma's passion and determination, and he agreed to halt the construction of the data center. Emma felt a sense of relief and accomplishment. She had successfully fought for something that she believed in, and she had made a difference in her community. As she walked away from the meeting, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that there would always be obstacles and challenges on her journey, but she was determined to continue fighting for what she believed in. She walked back to her hotel room, feeling a sense of pride and satisfaction. She had overcome the first obstacle on her journey, and she knew that she was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 5. After successfully stopping the construction of the data center, Emma knew that she had to continue her journey to find the library. She had learned from her research that it was located somewhere in the mountains, but she had no idea where exactly. She decided to enlist the help of her historian friends from the nearby city. They were excited to be a part of her quest and offered to help in any way they could. Together, they pored over old maps and documents, trying to piece together any clues that could lead them to the library's location. After several days of searching, they finally found a reference to a remote mountain village that was said to be near the library. Emma and her group of supporters set off on the long journey to the mountain village. It was a grueling trek through rugged terrain and steep inclines, but they were determined to find the library. Finally, after many days of walking, they arrived at the village. It was a small, isolated community, nestled in the foothills of the mountains. The villagers were friendly and welcoming, and they were intrigued by Emma's quest. Emma explained her mission to the villagers, and they were eager to help. They told her that they had heard rumors of a library hidden deep in the mountains, but no one knew exactly where it was located. Emma was determined to find the library, and she asked the villagers if they knew of any experienced guides who could help them navigate the treacherous terrain. One of the villagers, an elderly man named Zhang Wo, stepped forward. He had lived in the mountains all his life, and he knew every inch of the terrain. He offered to guide Emma and her group to the library. The next day, they set out on the steep climb up the mountain. The going was slow and treacherous, and Emma had to fight to keep her footing on the rocky path. But Zhang Wo was an expert guide, and he led them safely through the steep cliffs and narrow passages. Finally, after many hours of climbing, they reached a narrow pass that led to a hidden valley. Emma gasped in amazement as she saw the library for the first time. It was a beautiful building, carved into the side of a mountain. Its walls were made of stone, and its roof was covered in brightly colored tiles. The library was surrounded by a beautiful garden, filled with flowers and trees. Emma and her group of supporters walked inside the library, and they were amazed by what they saw. The library was filled with books and manuscripts, some of them centuries old. Emma knew that she had found the treasure that she had been searching for. Over the next few days, Emma and her group explored the library, reading ancient texts and marveling at the knowledge that had been collected there. Emma knew that the library was a precious resource, and she vowed to protect it at all costs. As they prepared to leave the library and head back down the mountain, Emma knew that her journey was far from over. She had found the library, but she still had to find a way to protect it from those who would seek to destroy it. But for now, she was content in the knowledge that she had succeeded in her quest. She had found the library, and she had made a difference in the world. Chapter 6. Emma spent the next few weeks living in the mountain village with Zhang Wo and his family. They welcomed her with open arms and showed her around their beautiful community. Emma couldn't believe how isolated and peaceful it was up in the mountains. She spent most of her days in the library, poring over ancient texts and manuscripts. She was fascinated by the knowledge that was hidden within its walls. The library was filled with secrets, and Emma was determined to uncover as many of them as she could. One day, while she was studying a particularly old manuscript, she came across a passage that caught her attention. It was a description of a powerful artifact, said to be hidden deep within the library. The artifact was said to have the power to change the course of history. It was a powerful tool, capable of controlling the minds of others and manipulating the very fabric of reality. Emma was intrigued by the description, but she was also concerned. She knew that such a powerful tool could be dangerous in the wrong hands. She made a vow to herself to find the artifact and protect it from those who would seek to use it for their own gain. But finding the artifact wouldn't be easy. The library was massive, and there were thousands of books and manuscripts to search through. Emma knew that she would need help if she was going to find the artifact. She decided to enlist the help of her historian friends from the city. They were excited to be a part of her quest and eagerly agreed to help. Together, they combed through the library, searching for any clues that could lead them to the artifact. It was a daunting task, but they were determined to find it. Days turned into weeks, and they had little success. They were beginning to lose hope when they came across a mysterious book that seemed to be written in code. Emma and her team spent days trying to decipher the code, and eventually, they were able to crack it. The book contained a series of clues that led them to a hidden chamber deep within the library. They followed the clues, winding their way through the labyrinthine passages of the library, until they finally reached the chamber. It was a small room, filled with ancient relics and artifacts. In the center of the room, they found a small box, intricately carved with symbols and designs. Emma recognized it as the artifact that she had been searching for. She cautiously approached the box, but as she reached out to touch it, a bolt of electricity shot out, knocking her back. Emma's friends rushed to her side, helping her to her feet. They realized that the artifact was protected by a powerful magical barrier, designed to keep anyone from tampering with it. Emma knew that she had to find a way to break the barrier and claim the artifact. She spent hours studying the barrier, trying to find a weakness. Finally, she discovered a flaw in the design. She concentrated all her energy, focusing her thoughts on the barrier. Slowly, the barrier began to weaken, and Emma was able to reach out and claim the artifact. She knew that she had to be careful with it, but she also knew that it could be a powerful tool in the fight against those who sought to destroy knowledge. As Emma and her team made their way back to the village, she knew that her journey was far from over. She had found the library's secrets, but she also knew that there were many more challenges ahead. But she was determined to protect the library and the knowledge that it held, no matter what it took. Chapter 7. Emma and her team returned to the mountain village, the artifact safely in their possession. But as they settled back into their routine, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She spoke with Jiang Wo about her concerns, and he nodded solemnly. The library is a powerful place, Emma. And with the artifact in your possession, there are those who would seek to take it from you. Emma knew that Jiang Wo was right. She had to be careful, but she also knew that she couldn't keep the artifact hidden away forever. She needed to find a way to use its power to protect the library. As she pondered her next move, Emma was approached by a strange figure. He was an old man, with deep lines etched into his face and a long, flowing beard. He introduced himself as the library's keeper. Emma was surprised to learn that there was a keeper of the library. She had always assumed that the library was an ancient, abandoned place. But the keeper explained that he had been tasked with guarding the library for centuries, ensuring that its secrets were kept safe from those who would seek to use them for evil. The keeper had been watching Emma and her team, and he was impressed with their dedication to uncovering the library's secrets. He offered to help them in their quest, sharing his knowledge and wisdom with them. Emma was hesitant at first, but she soon realized that the keeper was a valuable ally. He showed her secret passages and hidden rooms within the library, revealing knowledge that had been hidden away for centuries. Together, Emma, her team, and the keeper worked to unlock the secrets of the library. They spent long hours studying ancient texts and deciphering cryptic codes. As they delved deeper into the library's secrets, Emma began to understand the true power of the artifact. It was a tool of immense power, capable of reshaping the world itself. But with great power came great responsibility, and Emma knew that she had to use the artifact wisely. She couldn't let its power fall into the wrong hands. One day, as Emma was studying in the library, she felt a strange energy pulsing through the air. She rushed to the entrance of the library, where she saw a group of armed men approaching. They were a group of raiders, known for their brutal tactics and their lust for power. Emma knew that they were after the artifact, and she knew that she had to protect it at all costs. She rallied her team and the keeper, and they prepared for battle. They fortified the library, setting traps and barricades to keep the raiders at bay. As the raiders approached, Emma could feel her heart pounding in her chest. But she didn't falter. She stood her ground, ready to protect the library and its secrets. The battle was fierce and brutal, but Emma and her team were able to fend off the raiders. The artifact remained safe, and Emma knew that they had won a great victory. But the battle had taken its toll. Emma and her team were exhausted, and the library was damaged. Emma knew that they had to do something to strengthen their defenses, to prevent another attack. She turned to the keeper, asking for his help. He nodded, and together they worked to create a powerful shield around the library, one that would keep it safe from those who would seek to destroy it. As they worked, Emma couldn't help but feel grateful for the keeper's help. She realized that he was an invaluable ally, and that they needed him now more than ever. With the library protected, Emma knew that her journey was far from over. There were still many challenges ahead, and many more secrets to uncover. But with the keeper by her side, she felt confident. Chapter 8. After the battle with the raiders, Emma and her team were able to catch their breath and take a much-needed break. But Emma knew that they couldn't rest for long. They had to continue their quest to uncover the secrets of the library, and she was eager to learn more about its history. She turned to the keeper, asking him about the library's past. The keeper nodded, and together they began to explore the ancient texts and artifacts that filled the library's vast collection. As they studied, Emma began to learn more about the library's origins. She discovered that it had been built thousands of years ago by a group of powerful mages, who had used their magic to create a repository of knowledge and power. The mages had known that their knowledge was too powerful to be left in the hands of a single individual or group. They had created the library as a place where knowledge could be stored and protected, and where future generations could come to learn from the wisdom of the past. As Emma delved deeper into the library's history, she discovered that there had been many keepers over the centuries, each tasked with protecting the library and its secrets. Some had been more successful than others, but all had been dedicated to the task. Emma was fascinated by the stories of the previous keepers. She learned about their struggles and their triumphs, and she realized that she was now a part of a long and noble tradition. But as she studied, Emma also began to uncover darker secrets about the library's past. She discovered that there had been times when the library's knowledge had been used for evil, and that there were those who would do anything to gain control of its power. Emma knew that she had to be careful. She couldn't let the library's power fall into the wrong hands, and she had to be prepared for any eventuality. One day, as she was studying in the library, Emma heard a strange noise. She looked up and saw that one of the ancient statues had moved, revealing a hidden passage behind it. Curious, Emma decided to investigate. She made her way down the dark, twisting passage, wondering where it would lead. As she walked, Emma realized that the passage was taking her deeper into the heart of the library. She could feel a strange energy pulsing through the air, and she knew that she was getting closer to something important. Finally, the passage opened up into a large chamber, filled with ancient artifacts and scrolls. At the center of the room was a pedestal, upon which sat a glowing orb. Emma approached the orb, wondering what it could be. As she reached out to touch it, she suddenly felt a surge of power flowing through her body. She was startled, but also exhilarated. She could feel the power of the orb coursing through her veins, and she knew that she had discovered something truly extraordinary. But as she held the orb, Emma also felt a sense of danger. She knew that there were those who would do anything to possess its power, and she knew that she had to be careful. She made her way back to the main chamber, where she found the keeper waiting for her. He looked at her gravely, his eyes full of concern. "Emma," he said, "you have discovered something truly powerful. But with great power comes great responsibility. You must use this power wisely, and you must be prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead." Emma nodded, feeling the weight of the keeper's words. She knew that he was right, and that she had to be careful. But she also knew that she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, Emma and the keeper worked to uncover more of the library's secrets, studying ancient texts and artifacts in search of knowledge and power. Chapter 9. Emma and the keeper continued their research, poring over ancient texts and artifacts for days on end. They were determined to uncover all of the library's secrets, and they worked tirelessly to do so. But as they delved deeper into the library's history, they began to realize that they were not alone. There were those who were watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. Emma could feel the tension in the air. She knew that an attack was coming, but she didn't know when or where it would happen. One night, as she was working late in the library, Emma heard a commotion outside. She peeked out the window and saw a group of hooded figures approaching the library's gates. Emma knew that they were the same raiders who had attacked them before. She quickly alerted the keeper and they prepared for battle. The keeper had a cache of weapons hidden within the library, and Emma armed herself with a sword and shield. They took up defensive positions near the entrance, waiting for the raiders to make their move. As the raiders approached, Emma could see that they were heavily armed and dangerous. But she was determined to protect the library at all costs. The raiders launched their attack, charging at the entrance with swords and axes raised. Emma met them head-on, deflecting blows with her shield and striking back with her sword. The battle was intense and brutal, but Emma and the keeper fought with all their might. They were outnumbered, but they were not afraid. In the heat of battle, Emma caught a glimpse of the raiders' leader. He was a tall, imposing figure with a scar across his cheek. She could see the hatred in his eyes as he fought, and she knew that he was the one who had orchestrated the attack. Emma focused all of her energy on taking him down. She fought her way through the raiders, cutting down anyone who stood in her way. Finally, she reached the leader. They clashed swords, their blades ringing out in the night air. Emma could feel his strength, but she was determined to overcome him. Their fight was long and grueling, but Emma finally managed to land a decisive blow. The leader fell to the ground, defeated. As the last of the raiders fled, Emma and the keeper stood victorious. But they both knew that the battle was far from over. Emma turned to the keeper, her heart pounding in her chest. "We have to find out who that man was," she said. "And we have to stop him before he can come back and attack us again." The keeper nodded, his face grim. "I fear that this is just the beginning," he said. "We must be ready for whatever comes next." Emma knew that he was right. They had to remain vigilant and continue their quest to uncover the library's secrets. But she also knew that they had just proven that they were willing to do whatever it took to protect the knowledge and power that lay within the library's walls. Together, Emma and the keeper began to plan their next move, determined to stay one step ahead of their enemies. They knew that the library held the key to unlocking incredible power, and they were willing to risk everything to protect it. Chapter 10. After the attack, Emma and the keeper spent the next few days repairing the damage that had been done to the library. They worked tirelessly to reinforce the gates and walls, and they set up additional traps and alarms to prevent another raid. Despite their efforts, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in her gut. She knew that the raiders would be back, and she wondered if they were strong enough to repel them again. But as the days passed, Emma and the keeper began to uncover new information that gave them hope. They learned that the raiders were part of a larger organization, one that was determined to seize control of the library and its power. The organization was made up of rogue scholars, powerful magicians, and wealthy merchants. They had banded together with one goal in mind: to use the knowledge and artifacts of the library to further their own goals and ambitions. Emma and the keeper realized that they were not alone in their fight. There were others who believed in the value of the library's knowledge and were willing to fight to protect it. With this newfound knowledge, Emma and the keeper began to plan their next move. They decided to reach out to the scholars and magicians who had supported the library in the past, hoping that they would join them in their fight. Emma knew that this was a risky move. They couldn't trust anyone who might be working with the raiders, and they didn't want to put the library in even more danger. But they also knew that they needed help if they were going to defeat the raiders once and for all. Emma and the keeper sent out messages to the trusted scholars and magicians, inviting them to a meeting at the library. They were careful to keep the location of the meeting secret, only revealing it to those who they knew they could trust. As the day of the meeting approached, Emma and the keeper worked tirelessly to prepare. They set up a large table in the library's main chamber, and they stocked it with food and wine to make their guests feel welcome. When the scholars and magicians arrived, Emma and the keeper were relieved to see that they were people they knew they could trust. There were old friends and colleagues, all of whom shared their passion for knowledge and their desire to protect it. As they gathered around the table, Emma and the keeper explained the situation to their guests. They told them about the raiders and the organization that they were fighting against. They also told them about the library's incredible power and the potential it held to change the course of history. The scholars and magicians listened intently, their eyes shining with excitement and determination. Emma could feel a sense of hope rising within her. With these allies by their side, she knew that they could defeat the raiders and protect the library's secrets. As the meeting came to a close, Emma and the keeper thanked their guests for their support. They made plans to work together, pooling their knowledge and resources to defeat the raiders once and for all. Emma and the keeper watched as their guests left the library, their steps filled with purpose and determination. They knew that the fight ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that they had the strength and support to win. As Emma and the keeper settled down for the night, they felt a sense of peace settle over them. They had faced their first major obstacle, and they had emerged stronger and more determined than ever before. The future was uncertain, but Emma and the keeper knew that they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They were the protectors of the library, and they would stop at nothing to keep its secrets safe. Chapter 11. After the meeting with their allies, Emma and the keeper continued their preparations for the raiders' inevitable return. They worked tirelessly to strengthen the library's defenses, and they trained themselves and their allies in combat and magic. As the days passed, Emma began to feel the weight of their responsibility. She knew that the library's secrets were too valuable to fall into the wrong hands, and she was determined to protect them at any cost. But as the tension in the library grew, Emma realized that she needed a break. She hadn't left the library in months, and she longed for fresh air and the sights and sounds of the world outside. One day, she decided to take a walk in the nearby town. She put on a cloak to disguise herself and left the library through a secret passage. As she walked through the town, Emma felt a sense of freedom that she hadn't felt in a long time. She wandered through the streets, admiring the shops and chatting with the locals. But as she walked, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She tried to ignore it, but her instincts told her that something was wrong. Just as she was about to turn back to the library, a group of raiders appeared from an alleyway, surrounding her. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she reached for her sword. She knew that she was outnumbered and outmatched, but she refused to give up without a fight. The raiders closed in on her, their weapons glinting in the sunlight. Emma stood her ground, her sword at the ready. But just as the raiders were about to attack, a group of villagers appeared, wielding makeshift weapons. The raiders were caught off guard, and Emma used the opportunity to strike. She fought with all her might, taking down the raiders one by one. In the end, Emma emerged victorious. The raiders fled, and the villagers cheered her on. As she made her way back to the library, Emma realized that she had gained something more than just a victory. She had gained the respect and admiration of the people she had sworn to protect. When she returned to the library, the keeper welcomed her back with open arms. Emma told him about her encounter with the raiders, and they both realized that the attack was likely a warning. The raiders knew that they were preparing for battle, and they wanted to remind Emma and the keeper of the danger they were in. But Emma was undeterred. She knew that they had the strength and support to face whatever came their way. As they settled back into their routine, Emma and the keeper continued their preparations for the raiders' attack. They trained harder than ever before, and they worked tirelessly to ensure that the library was as secure as possible. And when the raiders did finally return, Emma and the keeper were ready for them. They fought with all their might, their allies by their side. In the end, the raiders were defeated, and the library's secrets remained safe. As the dust settled, Emma realized that she had accomplished what she had set out to do. She had protected the library's secrets, and she had proven to herself and to the world that she was capable of greatness. But as she looked out over the library's vast collection of knowledge, Emma knew that her work was far from over. The world was full of secrets and mysteries, and she was determined to uncover them all. Chapter 12. In the aftermath of the raid, Emma and the keeper spent weeks repairing the damage done to the library. They worked tirelessly, repairing the walls, the bookshelves, and the artifacts that had been damaged or destroyed in the fight. As they worked, they began to notice something strange. There were some books that had been untouched by the raiders, but they were missing now. Emma and the keeper searched the library high and low, but they couldn't find any trace of the missing books. They soon realized that the books had been stolen, but they couldn't imagine who would have taken them. They searched through the library's records, but there was no mention of any thefts. Emma and the keeper knew that they had to find the stolen books. The knowledge contained within them was too valuable to be lost forever. They began to investigate, interviewing everyone who had access to the library. But no one had seen or heard anything suspicious. As they dug deeper, Emma and the keeper began to realize that there was more going on than they had first thought. There were whispers of a group of scholars who had been working in secret, searching for knowledge that was hidden deep within the library's archives. Emma and the keeper knew that they had to act fast. They couldn't let the stolen books fall into the wrong hands. They rallied their allies and set out to find the group of scholars. It wasn't easy, but they eventually tracked them down to a hidden laboratory deep beneath the library. The scholars were surprised to see Emma and the keeper, but they weren't intimidated. They believed that the knowledge they were seeking was too important to be kept hidden away. Emma and the keeper tried to reason with the scholars, but they refused to listen. They believed that they were doing the right thing, and they wouldn't back down. A battle broke out, and Emma and the keeper fought with all their might. They knew that they couldn't let the scholars take the stolen books, and they were determined to protect the library's secrets at any cost. In the end, Emma and the keeper emerged victorious. The scholars were defeated, and the stolen books were returned to their rightful place in the library. But as Emma and the keeper looked around the laboratory, they realized that the scholars' work wasn't all for naught. They had uncovered knowledge that had been hidden away for centuries, and their discoveries would change the world forever. Emma and the keeper knew that they couldn't keep this knowledge hidden away any longer. They decided to open up the library to the world, to share its secrets with those who were worthy. And so, the library became a center of learning and knowledge, a beacon of hope in a world full of darkness and uncertainty. Years went by, and Emma and the keeper grew old. They watched as the library continued to grow and expand, its knowledge spreading to all corners of the world. And as they looked back on their lives, Emma and the keeper knew that they had left behind a legacy that would live on for generations to come. They had protected the library's secrets, and they had shared them with the world, leaving behind a gift that would last for eternity.